Welcome to Angelo's Tennis. And I just want to follow up on the last video I did. I was talking about Carlos Alcaraz and how he stands 20 feet behind the baseline. I thought I want to take a look at his history and see how he became a professional tennis player. And I already knew this. At least I already had done some research. I can't post it on YouTube. I'm just not gonna post anything that's potentially copyright anymore, because people they don't know how to mind their own business. They think that I don't know what they think by taking the actions that they take. But so I'm gonna look on here, and you can look it up for yourself and look up his look up how he became a professional tennis player. And he started when he was 15. Okay, he was 15 years old. He started. We can look here at his activity. And I said this before with a lot of these guys, Nadal, etc. They know what they're doing. It's no accident that, I could say a bunch of things, but just from a practical standpoint, who's working with these guys, etc., they know what they're doing. Started actually first, according to the ATP Tour website, he played his first match February 12th on clay, 2018. So he would have been 14 years old. It was an ITF in Spain, and he won against a Russian and against an Italian. The Italian was ranked 292. He's currently ranked 440 now, with a high ranking of 124. So he was 14 and he was playing, that would make him, he was 14 playing a 25-year-old. First of all, if you've ever played a junior, if you've ever been 25, 30, and you played someone who's 13 or 14, it is completely different from playing someone who is an adult. And then the Russian guy, of course, wasn't even ranked. Career high rank 1580, so that guy never really even became a professional tennis player. So, and they lost in the quarters to a Spaniard. So that was when he was 14. And then for some reason, I don't even know why he would have played that. Maybe it was a test. For some reason, he just didn't play again until the next year. It could have been, who knows what it was, really. Maybe one of one of the fans out there would know what it is. And then the next year, 15 years old, just like Nadal, and like a lot of these guys, starts in Spain on clay in January 21st. January 21st, he would have been 15, and he won against a Spanish guy who was ranked 589, who's currently ranked 757. And he was 20. Looks like maybe 20 at the time. And then I'm not sure where the next guy was from, but he was ranked 648. He won that match, and then he won against someone who's not ranked. Looks like a French guy. Currently, a high ranking of 600. Never really did anything. And then he loses to Cirandolo, who is currently ranked 26, but at the time wasn't ranked. So that was his first, really consider the first one on the way to his run. And before I want to move on, I want to say there's a couple things that are important. This idea of playing in Spain on clay is very key, I think, in explaining these guys' climb to the top. And I know I know other guys play in Spain, etc., but I think it seems like it's easier to make it if you're in Spain. and I'm going to get into more reasons why. If you're on, of course, with the clay, it's slower. You can kind of ease your way into the tour. Where here in the United States, I mean, there's so many good players. And on the Futures Tour, and the hard courts and the conditions, the summer, I don't know what it's like in Spain, but the summer here is extremely hot. A lot of these tournaments are in Florida, Texas, California. So, and interesting, he starts the year in January, just like he would in a normal, if he was a professional player, start the year in January. And then he goes to a challenger. So here he is. He has no ranking. Okay, he's 4 ATP points. Next tournament, it's saying he has 2 points. And he has no ranking. And he's in a challenger. First round, no qualifying. It's on clay. It's in Alicante, Spain. It's in April. So he looks like he took a couple months off. And he plays Sinner, who was ranked 300, and he won in 3 sets. And then he loses to Lucas Rosol, who was a solid, hard hitter, hard player, ranked 132, loses in 3 sets. Now, he gets a challenger win with literally doing nothing, but he plays Sinner, and people will see that like, whoa, he had to play Sinner. Sinner was also 15 years old at the time. He may have been 16. He's 15 or 16. So he gets to play another junior, and he gets a challenger win. And now, next tournament, he's playing another challenger. And now all of a sudden he's ranked 597 with one challenger win and 3 futures wins. That arguably, if we go back, I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the first one was someone from Spain. He may have, more likely than not, Spain's so small, he probably hit with this guy before. He might even know him, but he definitely hit with him before. So then he goes to his next challenger in Spain, still on clay, just a week later, and no qualifying. No qualifying. Plays somebody from, looks like France. Yeah, France, who's 30, who at the time was 29 years old. Never really did anything. He was 267. He wins 7-6, 6-4. And as I said, as I wanted to mention, it's not the same playing a 15-year-old, or he's still 15 at this point. He has not turned 16. It's like the most frustrating thing in the world, even from a psychological standpoint, to be 27 years old and have to play a 15-year-old child. Now, I don't care if he's Carlos Alcaraz. I don't care what he is. 15 is 15. I'm not saying he wasn't ready to play, but from the other player's perspective, it's a psychological challenge to have to play someone that young. So he gets the win there, and then he plays another Spanish guy. Again, probably hit with him before. He was ranked 140. He wins 6-3, 7-6. Now, this guy had a career-high ranking of 40, and he's currently ranked 42. Pedro Martinez. At the time, he was 20, so it's a little better, but it's still a challenge playing a 15-year-old. When does it now become more of a psychological challenge? I would say when they turn 17 or 18, at the least. It's really hard to put a number on it, but definitely 15 is a little ridiculous. So then he loses to a German guy. So he's ranked 600, around 600, gets 2 more challenger wins, never had to play qualifying in any tournament. If you go back, no qualifying, and never had to play the qualifying tournament. And then all of a sudden, ranked 505. It says here it's 0 points. I don't know how that works. And now he gets to play ATP 500 in Barcelona. They put him in the qualifying against Salsa, who's ranked 107. He loses in 3 sets. Still's 15. That's only 1 month. That's only the month of April. And then he skips a month. Now he's 16. He's still in Spain, has not left his country. He's 500 in the world, has not left his country. And this is ITF. Hard court. Wins against 3 players who are not ranked. Have no ranking. And then loses badly to, looks like Kevin King with a ranking of 371. Who was 26 at the time. And then he's back in Spain on clay. Wins against 3 Spaniards who have no ranking. And then loses to a Spaniard who's ranked 383. No, I'm sorry, he won against him. And I'm not even looking at these players. I'm not even looking at how they play, what their style is, etc. And this guy was 5'8", 150 pounds. 5'8", 150 pounds. What did it say his age? Never turned pro. Never turned pro. Highest rank 250. Didn't really do anything. And he wins against Skatov, who was ranked 600. And at the time, this Skatov guy, see, this is stuff you gotta look at. He was only 17. He was only 16 or 17. So it's like he wins an ITF. He wins his first ITF. And he beats a guy in the final who's a junior. Then he's in the Challenger again. Still ranked 580. And he wins against an Australian guy on clay in Italy. So now he's leaving the country. But really, a little car ride to Italy. And he loses to Ferreira Silva. Now we're back in Mallorca, Spain, hard court. Loses first round, Challenger. Only qualifiers ever played was in an ATP 250. Seville, he's still in Spain, clay, back on clay. Beats a Japanese guy. Solid win against, looks like Yannick Hanfmann. And then Pedro Martinez. Beats Pedro Martinez, but again, it's his countryman. I mean, you could say he's in Spain. Of course, he's going to be playing guys who are in his country, etc. But it's not the same as the United States. When you go up against a guy in the United States, unless he's a big national level player, you're not going to know him. I mean, you might have played him. You might have played him in a tournament once or something like that, but it's so big. The United States is so big. In Spain, I mean, for sure they hit together. For sure. And then he loses to an Italian guy, Caruso. And now he's in Italy. Another challenger, no qualifying. He's 493, doesn't have to play qualifying. How is this possible? There's a question I ask. How is this possible? Loses first round. Then he plays ITF, loses first round. It's October now, and he's still in Spain. So the first year, we could say his first official year, he did not leave Spain except to go to Italy. And his coach, I believe his coach at the time, was Juan Carlos Ferrero. So why am I pointing this out? Well, one thing I want to point out, that it's not the game that they make it out to be. As in basketball or football, you get chosen, and essentially you get drafted. And you think in tennis, where you earn your way. Well, you don't really earn your way. Some of them do. Most of them don't. And Carlos Alcaraz is one of those guys that was chosen. And this is very obvious how he was chosen. He was chosen because he was chosen as a player who gets a coach like Juan Carlos Ferrero. I mean, the guy probably didn't even charge him money. There's probably no exchange. It's the easiest. He doesn't need any money. The fact that he played in Spain the whole time on clay. The fact that he wasn't getting qualifiers. So if we go to his next year, which he's still 16, 2020. Second year. And he wins the ITF January 6th on clay, 16 years old, in Spain, on clay. Highest ranking player he beat was 437. And that guy was only 18 at the time. And he was 5'8", 145 pounds. So, but as I mentioned, the last final he won, he could win with his, he could win with his physicality. He'd stand way behind the baseline and just grind and just pound away. I'm not trying to take away from his skill. I'm not saying he's not a great player. Comparably speaking, I'm not sure that he's that much better than everybody else. Then he goes to Spain. In Spain again, same place the next week, and wins again. Highest ranking player he beat was Hoyt from Great Britain, 407. And he beats the same guy in the final that he beat the last tournament. So he gets a final. He gets another final against the same player that he just beat. That's a little bit of an advantage as well. And as I said, he can't really do anything about this, but he plays Jay Montero, who at the time was 27 years old going against a 16-year-old. So it's kind of like a dual advantage. You're playing against another junior, that's an advantage. You're playing against a 30-year-old, that's an advantage. And it's like when you're a 16-year-old or 17-year-old and you can play at that level, to me, it's another backdoor way in, as if you have to wait till you're 22. There's more reasons to get in at 15 and 16 than say some of the reasons that the mainstream gives out. Of course, the mainstream never gives out the good stuff, the details. So then he goes to Turkey. So now he's finally leaving, going a little bit farther to Turkey on clay, and he loses in the final. Highest ranking player he beat, 500. A couple other things there I'm not going to mention. He's 400. And now he's back and he's in Brazil. So he goes from Turkey to Brazil on clay. So he goes to another Spanish country. It's really like, letting the baby bird, really coddling the baby bird before you let it go out of the nest. Very, very smart here to do. You're going to go on a big trip? Well, we're going to go to Brazil where you speak the language. And he plays a Spanish guy. First round, wins. And then he loses to an Argentinian, Coria, who's ranked 116. Not Coria, the famous Coria, but the Frederico Coria, who's currently ranked 79, apparently. Haven't seen much of him lately. So then, from Brazil back to Italy, to a challenger. And now he's 318. So he goes from 400 with a win That might have been his second win in an ATP 500. An ATP 500, by the way. Like, what is deserving of him to have no qualifying round in an ATP 500? Like, what? I'm asking that question. Like, other than, we see you, we like you, we think you're the one, and we're going to put you in. Based on watching you hit tennis balls. Or watching you play your tennis matches. Anyone who's in the game, in tennis, will tell you how impossible that is. But they seem to know he's the one. At 16. So now he's on clay. Ranked 318. Back on clay in Italy. Gets to the third round. Still on clay in Italy again. It's August. You could say, I guess, she gets a lot. See, here, lots of solid wins here. I'm not going to mention the names. Some of them, Musetti, Comke, Echeverry. But he had to play a qualifying. One of the only times he played a qualifying in Italy. And he wins the tournament. So the first time he really earns it. But it's on clay. And it's in Italy. I mean, how many hard court matches has he even played yet? Handful. Still on clay in Italy. Makes it to the final of a challenger. And now he's in. He's ranked 189. Still in Italy on clay. Loses second round. Possibly the third round. I don't know. Might have got a first round bye. And now he's at Roland Garros. Oh, check this out. Now he's at Roland Garros, but it's 2020 and it's COVID. So Roland Garros is in September. He gets in the qualifying. Damn, didn't take advantage of that though. Loses first round to Vukic. Then he's back to Barcelona. Wins that challenger. He's 158. Wins the next one in Spain. Still in Spain. Loses first round, and that's it. And that was his breakout year. In 2021, he's rolling. 2021 started off in January. He's 146. And two wins in Melbourne ATP 250. And then he goes to Australian Open, has to play qualifying. Wins the first 3 rounds in the first round. Loses in France on a hard court in 250. Plays the challenger in Spain on clay. Then he goes to Mexico. So he has to go to Australia. Then he goes to Mexico where they speak Spanish. Loses to Zverev in the first round on hard court. And then he goes to Miami. I mean, it pays to be a Spanish guy, I'm telling you. It pays to speak Spanish. Miami might as well be a Spanish country. Loses to Rusevori first round. He goes back to Spain for a 250. Wins the 3. I mean, you can go look at this for yourself. I'm not going to look at it anymore. But it's all in Spain. Even the second year. Even that year he's playing all these. He's ranked 120. Portugal, Spain, Miami, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, France, right next door. Wimbledon, right next door. Croatia. But by now he's ranked 50. He's 50 in the world. He's going to Croatia, Austria. The guy doesn't leave. In the United States, now it's the United States, the guy literally doesn't leave his culture until he's 50 in the world. He does not leave his culture until he's ranked top 50 in the world. Crazy. Crazy.